is the impact of all these on business. The impact of technology on business, the impact of politics on business, economics, regulatory framework, societal norms. On business because of the April 30th, and it is expected that gradually it will be put up to May 31st, which means the pain is going to be up to maybe May 31st. But it is not that just on 1st June everything starts and all of us will start earning on 1st June. That is not true. So by the time the companies get the feel of what are the losses and how it can be recouped, my gut feel it will be January 2021. Unless, God forbid, the COVID comes back again in a big way. So by the time we finish off in April 30th, maybe we'll be having about, say, 30,000 or 25,000 people tested who have got COVID. And maybe, again, God forbid, the number of people we have lost will be about, say, 1,500. That's manageable. But suddenly on May 31st, if the number changes drastically, that the number of patients from about, say, 30,000, it suddenly becomes 15 lakhs. And the number of people we have lost may be huge. Then again, there will be on 1st June, again, Prime Minister will come and say, 3 ghante ke baad sab band. Because that is one way in which you manage it. So let us see what happens. Yeah, I'm putting off my video because it is taking a lot of bandwidth. Right. So this is what the factors would be. Now the latest from JP Morgan says the Indian growth story will not be 5% or 4%. It will be 1.6%. And there are some doomsday predictions that forget growth, there will be a huge, setback. That is, it will not grow in plus 1%, it might be minus 2%. That can be disastrous. I mean, let us hope it does not happen. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Oh, sorry. Give yourself a minute or so, because to be very honest, this is something which all of us go through every day. One, buyer power is very high when the product bought is a large percentage of the buyer's cost, right? Which means if I buy a very high priced product, it is but natural that I will look at n number of options. For example, if you want to buy a car which is costing 5 lakh rupees, I'm sure you'll go through at least 10 brands and then buy whatever you found is good. If you are buying a 50 inches TV, you will go through at least 5-6 brands before you want to buy a product which you feel is good. So the point I'm trying to make here is that if the buyer's cost is higher, or if the product cost is higher, then the buyer bargaining power is very high. Second, if the product differentiation is low, I think we talked about Coke and Pepsi. If the product differentiation is low, then the buyer bargaining power is high. If you are not able to give me Coke, I have no problems taking a Pepsi. So Coke loses me. Second, buyers earn low profits from the product when he sells it away, which means that if I am a middleman or if I am a distributor of any product, always remember your lifetime buyer is your dealer. I have a course known as channel management. Do you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you going through it or is it already done?
Going through it, sir.
Going through it. Okay. So have you gone through a topic known as channel management? Now, channel management is a way in which you retain your channel even when there is a little problems in the channel. And the reason why you retain your channel is because a dealer, at the end of the day, a dealer is your customer for life. If your dealer is happy, if your dealer is happy, then even when the economics is low, he or she will still buy your products. So he can be a hedge against the market variation. For example, now we are going through a very terrible times as far as economic goes. But even now, Hindustan Lever's share price is going up. The reason being their dealers are still buying without any problem, in spite of the police stopping the trucks and whatnot. So this is what your dealers can. So if your buyers are low profits, that is when the dealers get a margin which is very low, he may not sell your product. Buyer threatens to backward integrate. That is, sometimes it happens. I'm sure you've heard about a company known as IBM, Big Blue. Yeah? Now, IBM is the largest computer company in the world. And I don't know, you can of course look at data. It seems IBM sells more software than Microsoft. So anyway, that's a fun fact. Now, IBM had, which division of IBM makes the most money? Any idea? IBM is into hardware marketing, hardware is into services, IBM is into consulting and so on. They are also into software. Any idea which division of IBM might have given them the maximum profits?
Cloud?
Okay, something more?
I think, sir, it's most likely cloud and software services that they provide.
Correct. Services. The services division of IBM gives them the maximum profits. Now, the services team also requires a huge, telephonic backup. That is either pre-sales or post-sales. And IBM actually had, a consulting company which was doing all these. And the consulting company was basically talking about services and all those. So what they did was they went ahead and bought the consulting company. I'm sure you know which company we're talking about. No?
PwC, sir.
Correct. It's PwC. So PwC, one of the top 4 consulting companies in the world, is an IBM company. Yeah, so backward integrate. Second is, as I told you, they required a lot of call center inputs. So their largest call center customer was Daksh in Delhi. And Daksh was again bought over by IBM. So it's now IBM Daksh. So the point I'm trying to make here is that there are times when a buyer can backward integrate and buy your company. So PwC had the biggest customer, which is IBM. So IBM said, why pay them so much? Let's buy them. Daksh was their biggest customer. They said, why pay so much? Buy them. So that is the thing. Then you have buyer full information, substitutes, etc. So this is when the buyer bargaining power is high. Now let's see, when is the supplier bargaining power high? Sorry. the supplier power is high. Go to the fourth point. When the supply is limited, when me and maybe 3 or 4 companies supply the entire market, that is when the supplier power is high. Second, if my product is differentiated, then the switching cost is too high. Now, what is a switching cost? It is a cost which which a customer has to pay if he switches from your product to another product. So if the switching cost is high, then the supplier bargaining power is high. Yeah, what we are doing now is we are just taking each and every one of Porter's 5 forces and trying to find out a little bit more about it. Because Porter always talks about competitive, strategies. I think this book itself is competitive strategy. The second book is competitive strategy of nations. So you can go to the Pomba library. There is a book which is by Michael Porter, very old, but the principles are almost, timeless. So competitive strategy, and the second one is competitive strategy of nations. So supplier power. So if the supplier is differentiated, that is its product is very unique, then the switching cost for a buyer is very high. There is no substitute for the product supplies. Very few companies or very few products are this way, but there are. For example, if I give you a product, Indian Railways, which is the substitute for Indian Railways?
None.
Correct. You might say that, yes, why don't I take a flight? But if you are going from Pune to Delhi, you take a flight. But if you are going from Pune to Satara, there is no flight. So you are very much dependent on a train or bus. Now, what happens if you are going from Pune to maybe Berhampur, which is a town in Odisha? Now, bus, my God, that's terrible. You have to take a bus, about 10 hours later you'll get down at Hyderabad, take another bus, and about 14 hours later you reach Berhampur. Terrible. So what do? Take a train. And why do you take a train? Because there is no flight to Berhampur. You might have to take a flight, go to Bhubaneswar and take a bus or a train back to Berhampur and so on and so forth. So there is no substitute for railways in many of the cases. So if that is so, then the supplier bargaining power is high. So if you go to a train and you sit down and you find that the seat is not so clean, what can you do? Nothing. So this is how it is. The next thing where supplier power is very high is your suppliers are dominated by a few firms, the oligopoly. Yeah. So if you want to buy petrol, there is Hindustan Petroleum, there is the Indian Oil, there is Bharat Petroleum, and a very few private ones which are concentrated, or rather which are scattered across the country. So the price of petrol, whether it will increase by 5 rupees or decrease by 2 rupees, is directly controlled by the Petroleum Ministry. So petrol price, you do not ask the petrol pump, "Bhai sahab, aaj kitna price hai?" वो पूछेंगे नहीं. You will actually go to the newspaper and minister says, "The petrol price will increase by 2 rupees now." And you got to pay it. So the point is, why? Because the petrol is dominated by the government of India. So this is where your supplier power is very high. So let us talk about rivalries. I told you, American companies were told by Michael Porter not to have rivalries within your industry, within the car industry, which they have studied even up to now. Even now, If you look at a competitive chart, which Ford will say that, okay, my Ford Classic has this things, and others don't have, his competitor will never be General Motors. Competitor will always be Hyundai, Honda, Toyota, and whatnot. So go through this. Give yourself a minute. In the background, I can listen to some songs. I don't have any problems. The problem is that we all would like to listen to that.
Could you please turn on your chat, sir?
Okay, okay, okay. So what I can do is put it down. I'm now getting the chats. Okay.
Start your
मौलिक अकाउंट डाल सकता है. System segment, IT services. Why the word backward? Now you're talking. So Adnan, do you really want me to talk about backward now? I think it's very important. We know what is backward integration and forward integration.
All right, sir. And sir, could you please turn on the screen along with the chat, because you can use both at the same time.
Along with the chart.
Chat, sir. You can use both at the same time.
Okay, sure. No, the reason is I could not see the chat so far. Now I can see the chat. So I am getting a pay attention Gangadhar. Okay.
We have been writing so much on the chat, sir.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not able to see it. Now I'm able to see it. Okay, we are seeing ongoing scenario, exactly. Achala, please don't sing. Okay, that's also very nice. Now, Achala sings?
Beautifully, sir.
Beautifully? So let's give her 1 minute. This is your big break. You have got 60, people who are your 61 people.
She's known as the Nightingale of Pumba, sir.
Huh?
She's known as the Nightingale of Pumba.
Why am I being deprived? Okay. So, Achala, what is that, sir? It would stop the recording for some time. Don't worry. Don't. You know, song and dance is part of everything. Okay. Now let's get on with it. Achala doesn't like me, so let's get on with our discussion now. As I told you, give yourself about a minute. What I'm trying to say. Yeah. If you look at rivalries, my suggestion is, if all of you understand Hindi, then there is a movie by Madhur Bhandarkar by the name of Corporate. My request is, why don't you see the movie Corporate?
Fantastic movie, sir. Fantastic movie.
Yes. So my suggestion is, if you have not seen it, see it. In addition to Bipasha Basu, the message is too good. You know, as managers, we should see this movie. There are about, I'm sure you all know that every MBA student has to see 20 movies, and I'm sure Google will give you the list of those 20 movies. Like you have this 12 Angry Men, N numbers, N numbers. Yeah, Wolf on the Wall Street, and so on. $750 movies. Yeah, lots. I'm telling you, lots. Not only these ones, I can tell you there are N numbers. Wolf on the Wall Street is among the top because that is one beautiful movie where we learn marketing. See, you have drugs, you have sex, you have drinks, you have everything, but you still have a message. So if you look at most of these reviews of which movies MBA graduates should have seen, Wolf of the Wall Street is among the top three. And one of the reasons why it is there is because in addition to all these, whatever is being shown, the message of marketing is terrific. Look at a young guy just taking over Wall Street. And the ending was too good, where he comes out of the jail and he gives a small this thing and okay, learn it. Yeah, Ganesh, learn it. Why do you have to be judgmental? One of the things which an MBA should be is we should not be judgmental. I mean, my personal opinion. You can have your own opinion saying that, yeah, exactly, Adnan, sell me this pen. And people have all these, there's a good pen. And then it just goes to the next and says, sell me this pen. Somebody writes well. Anyway, that is what we can learn. So don't be judgmental. Yeah? Don't be judgmental. And you will get a lot of message from almost all books. Yeah? So let's get on with this thing. So when I talk about the intensive rivalries, one of the things which can happen on which I'm sure you know is okay. Congratulations, Adnan. Now it has got unlimited minutes.
Yes, I think this is only for this meeting.
Only for this meeting?
I think so. Because
or is it for all institutes?
No, I don't think so, sir.
No?
I think
because I believe there was I Googled it. They said that for K-12, the Zoom is free, unlimited free for this limited coronavirus period.
All right, sir.
I mean, that is what I had read.
I'll search on it, sir.
So that's it. So anyway, I never say no to a gift. Yeah. So coming back to personal rivalries, many of these industrialists, you'll find, because of personal rivalries, because of their own hates and likes, the rivalries can be intensive. And you have seen it in so many places, including the launch of Jio.
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Remember, if you look at a balanced or a very calm way of understanding, there is one company which always made profits, irrespective of the business environment. Reliance Industries. I told you, it's a blue. But because of Jio, and I think he had some Josh or whatever, Mukesh Ambani, how much is the bill which Jio has to pay? Remember, he has given you free internet, unlimited free calls for, I guess, more than 6 months. Now, internet is not free, calls is not free. You know what is the bill which has come due for Reliance Jio? You know what is the debt of Reliance Jio? Which Mr. Mukesh Ambani has to pay? Yes. Not 170 billion. 170 crore. Virat, it's much more than that.
Sir, it was, I don't know. He raised close to 1 lakh crore for that. I don't know. long-term
I'll tell
basis?
you, the market figure, of course, he doesn't give any figures out. The market figure is $40 billion.
$40 billion.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you
Recently,
multiply it by, yeah,
there was a news that Reliance was able to reduce their debt to 25,000 crores.
yes. And how?
I have no idea. Some financial wizardry, something like that.
Arey nahi, they have sold 20% of Reliance to Saudi Aramco.
Oh,
And,
yes, yes, yes.
and that is what has brought them, I think, about 15 or 20 billion dollars, or maybe 25 billion dollars.
Yes. That,
Yeah, so now I think it must be, as you said, about maybe $10 billion or so must be there, about 70,000 crores or 60,000 crores, whatever.
25,000. 25,000 debt
25,000.
for Reliance
That
Industries.
is maybe just something in the front. But if you look at interest and all those things, government also is having a lot of bill for Reliance.
Okay.
Okay, so all those will be about 50 to 60,000 crores. And the worst part is the COVID has reduced the price of Reliance by N number. I think maybe 30% down the price of RIL, which is adding to his problems. So I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow Aramco suddenly comes back and says, hey, from 20%, I would like to buy 50% of RIL. And I think you know why Aramco is investing. No? Yes?
So because Reliance is also mainly oil producing.
Exactly. Because of the Jamnagar refinery. And when they invest in that, I am sure since the government and Mr. Salman of Saudi Arabia have a very, very good relationship, my gut feel is once Aramco takes about 40% or 45% of Reliance, you will find RIL taking over at least one oil company. I think HPCL was sold to Reliance.
And even Saudi will have more profits because they'll be able to.
Who?
Saudi, Aramco, even they'll be able to have more.
Yes, absolutely. See, India is the third largest consumer of crude oil in the world after US and China. Now, if we are the third largest, you know how much crude is sold in the world. The total amount of crude requirement in the world is about 100 million barrels per day, out of which US needs about 20 million barrels per day. China needs about 10 million barrels per day. We need about 5 million barrels per day. Jai Hind. Okay, so we need about 10 million barrels per day. Now, 5 million barrels per day. So what I'm trying to say here is that at the end of the day, out of this 5 million barrels, we actually buy it from N number of sources, including Saudi Arabia. So if, it's all right. It's all right. We need to make a movie right now. Okay. What is that? We'll have again the same one, Guru Part 2. Don't worry. My patience is infinite. I deal with students anyway. So let's not have a fight. Let's not have a fight, at least on chat. Yeah. So what you can do is, when we meet face to face, maybe next trimester, I believe maybe I might be taking one subject which you can't avoid, known as business strategy. So if I take up business strategy next trimester, we will meet face to face, and that is a time when we can have a great discussion on movie making, maybe. Okay. So coming back to the rivalry. Now, this rivalry or the intense rivalry, what we are seeing now in the oil industry and in the mobile industry is, I mean, maybe costing the industry itself. That's all I can say. So intense rivalries within the category or within the industry may or may not be a very positive thing. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah. So let me not go into this. You already have my PPTs. I believe Adnan has already given you. Adnan, have you shared the PPTs with all?
I have shared only the.
You have?
I have shared only the first 3, sir. The last 3 are still pending. I'll do that today.
Okay, please do that. And Adnan, importantly, have you shared the assignment?
Sir, I didn't receive the assignment. Did you mail me, sir?
Sorry?
Did you send me an email?
I sent you an email on your Gmail where I have given you the assignment and the 3 lectures.
All right, sir. It came in yesterday. I'll forward that, sir.
No problems. My request is, do you have the email ID of the group?
Yes, we do. The Google groups, right?
Okay. So, I mean, can I send it on the group?
Yes, you can do that, sir. I think Mr. Pahulkar will give you access to it, and you can just contact him, and then you can send it to the entire group.
Okay, done. So I'll talk to Pahulkar, sir. Right. Now, what I'm trying here is the next part of our product management is something where we talk about new product development, which will be the chapter, which is chapter number 7. But if you look at technical developments, yeah, I mean, any technical developments, just because you have invented a product does not mean that your product will be a success. So for a product to be successful, there are n number of things which you should look at: process, impetus, and technology. And in the process also, you might invent a product, but if the diffusion is less, that is, for example, if you look at online business in India, we have a big basket. One of the things which the lockdown has shown us, which I'm sure that even the government did not expect, the online ordering stopped. So when you have this online ordering, there is a huge logistical chain to this online ordering. So if you are ordering for a product on, let's say, big basket, the product might be coming from Bangalore to Pune. And from Bangalore to Pune, the highway goes through 3 states. And when it is coming from Bangalore to Pune, it is feasible and possible that the highway will be blocked by all the states' police. So even if it is a FMCG product which the government says is on, the police on the highway may not let your truck pass. And that is the reason why, after all this has happened, the neighborhood kirana shop has suddenly become extremely important. So far, up to 2019 odd, the amount of online business was growing by 30%, and the biggest hit was to the neighborhood kirana shop. So if I want to buy 5 kilos of rice and 10 kilos of atta, I just go to Big Basket or Grofers and give an order, and it comes to my house. So The neighborhood kirana shop, I'll only go and say, sir, एक dozen anda de do, एक bread de do, thoda achar de do, etc., etc., etc. So the share of the wallet, which we talked about previously, for a kirana shop was very low. Yeah, while the share of wallet of the online marketers was very high. So many of us, I mean, I can tell you, me included, about half of our requirements, or more than half of the monthly requirements, came from Big Basket. Now what has happened? Big Basket cannot deliver. So my entire share of wallet goes to the kirana shop. So after that, I'm sure you know the lockdown has been extended by another 2 weeks. The first person who's going to dance is the kirana shop. Because one, he has increased the prices. Two, he has got a captive audience. You cannot go and order on Big Basket because the orders are highly, highly restricted. I'm not saying this Big Basket is not working. In fact, the government is opening up most things. But even after opening it up, out of 100% trucks on the highway, 15% are moving, which means 85% of the trucks are still stuck somewhere or the other in the highway of India. Sorry. Okay, true, absolutely. Not only inflate, they've inflated to the point about medicines. I can tell you, unfortunately or fortunately, for medicines, there is one medicine which I take, which is an anti-allergic. Now, anti-allergic prices, that medicine costs 48 rupees. The last time I bought it, which is about, say, about 10 days back, it had just been inflated to 98 rupees. So the point which I'm trying to make is, this is also a great news for the kirana shops. Now, I'm not saying it is good or bad. Poor guys, they might also have to pay more when the transporters come in. So the point is, yes, it is a change in buying patterns. So the share of wallet of the kirana shop has gone up. So my point here is, if you have an invention, it is not necessary that invention will be success. It will be diffused. So if I have a product or if I have a service and the service is door-to-door delivery of fresh vegetables and my company's name is Big Basket, unless the market takes it, my invention or my new product or my new innovation doesn't work. Second, if my innovation is working and the diffusion is high, anything which is maybe giving a hit, the entire business process changes. That is what I'm trying to say here. So let's not get into this. This is all American political risk. It has nothing to do with Indian political risk. So I'm skipping this with your permission. Okay. Okay, share of food purchases. It is the data is only up to 98. Now you'll say that's too old. That is true, it is old, but then I'm sure you understand that for data to be collected over a period of time and collated and brought into the market, the time taken is about 10 years or maybe even more. So in this case, we have got data from 75 to 98. Now, is there any data from 98 to 2018? Maybe, but if the data is actually collected from 98 to 2018, that by the time the data is collected and it satisfied many of the things, the data will be available maybe by 2028. So it takes between 5 to 7 years for the data to be shared. That is what I'm trying to say. Second is, if you look at most of this data, they must be done, or this research must have been done by some company or the other. If I say share of food purchases in supermarkets, my gut feel is it might be done by either a restaurant or a supermarket. So maybe Walmart might have told Lehman and Weiner, gentlemen, I need the data. Yeah, or maybe Zomato might have asked Lehman and Weiner. Of course, Zomato was not there in '98, so let's skip it out. So a restaurant, maybe a big restaurant chain might have asked, or maybe McDonald's might have asked Mr. Weiner, Professor Weiner, or Lehman, can you please tell me what is happening? So the data they must have given in maybe 2000, 99 or 2000 to them, to McDonald's or to Walmart. And there is a secrecy clause, which again is about 10 years or 15 years. So by the time they are able to release it, it will be about 2010. And that is when maybe Lehman and Weiner has put it in their book. The book is 2014, I mean the latest edition. So you'll say it is so dated. It is not so dated. What we are seeing is a trend. Now, if you tell me whether the trend has reversed, maybe we need more research. As of now, the trend is this, that about 40% or 45% of food purchases is in supermarkets. Now you'll say, why do you compare supermarket with restaurants? The reason is because supermarkets, I mean, it's not very true in India, but it is true in major markets. I can tell you one market is Bangkok in Thailand. If you go to a 7-Eleven, yeah, that's a small supermarkets which are available in every gully of Bangkok. If you have been to Bangkok, you know what I'm trying to say. And if I reach Bangkok at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m., obviously the restaurants are closed. But I don't know, if you've been to Bangkok, you know, Bangkok always feeds you 24/7. The restaurants must be off, but you will not go hungry. So you get into any 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven is a 24/7 shops. You have all those, you know, thumbs up, not thumbs up, Coke, fruits, you know, toothpaste, everything. It's a small, you know, kirana shop. And every 7-Eleven has got a place where you have got ready-to-eat food, rice and chicken curry, or some Thai food, or something of that sort. So if you're hungry, you have just got off the plane and gone to your hotel in Sukhumvit or wherever, you just walk into, I mean, put your bag in the hotel, come out hungry, go to a 7-Eleven, and then you say, okay, I want rice and chicken. So they will take out that packet, heat it, and even eat it in that restaurant. And not what am I saying, in the supermarket. And the cost of that, believe you me, is about, say, 80 bahts, which is about 150 rupees or 160 rupees. So in 160 rupees, you have a nice meal of a chicken curry and some rice, and you have it. So the point is, at this point of time, because the restaurants are not there, supermarkets are filling in for that. So by 1990s, restaurants have overtaken supermarkets as the preferred place for food purchase. Now here I believe it's cooked food. Okay. So any questions, friends? So with this, we complete our chapter number 4. Any questions?
No, sir.
No. So, so what we see here is competitive rivalry.
So the meaning of backward in backward integration?
Now you're talking. Okay. So backward integration is something like this. Okay, give me 2 minutes. I'll draw it on a piece of paper and present it. Okay. Okay. Now I'm here. Yeah, I am. Where is it? Okay. Now, this is the line. Okay. Now, okay, and here is this. You will have to forgive my drawing skills. My drawing skills are horrible. I would have become an artist. Okay, anyway. So if I have here, and they make it bold. Okay. Now, let me be here. Let me see. The product here is. Let me give polyester cloth. Oh no, why is it so? Okay, so if I have a factory with polyester cloth, correct? I make polyester cloth, and my company's name is Reliance. And you know which is the holding company of Reliance? Any idea which is the holding company? Is the owner of Reliance. So the entire Reliance group has got a holding company. Any idea which is it?
Reliance Industries?
No, it is Reliance Trading Company. That is the company which Dhirubhai Ambani had started. So that is the holding company of the entire Reliance group, including Reliance Telecom, Reliance Industries, Reliance Retail, whatever. Everything, it is owned by Reliance Trading Company. And who are the people who are on the board of Reliance Trading Company? Or rather, who is the head of Reliance Trading Company? It is Kokilaben Ambani. So, Kokilaben, or the mother of all these Anil and Mukesh, etc., she owns Reliance, period. So, if tomorrow Mukesh Ambani needs 25,000 crores for Reliance Jio, the procedure is he will go there and say, "Mummy, paisa de do." And mummy will say, "Theek hai beta, ye le 25,000 crore." I don't know, my mother never gave me more than 5 rupees. But anyway, that's a different issue. So the owner is Kokilaben. So tomorrow, if anything happens and if anybody needs money, whether it is Anil or Mukesh, they have to go and say, "Mummy, paisa de do." So mummy is still ruling Reliance. So coming back to polyester. So the reason is why Reliance Trading is because Dhirubhai Ambani started off as a polyester seller. He used to take it on his shoulders, and he used to sell polyester cloth across distributors. So when he went to Mr. Kamath of ICICI Bank, and he agreed to give him 10 lakhs. The first thing what he did was he started a PTFE factory. Why PTFE? Because PTFE is the basic ingredient of polyester cloth, right? PTFE cloth, I would also say cloth. Okay, can you all of you see what I am writing?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So it is PTFE cloth manufacturing. Okay, cloth. So that is it in in Patalganga near Mumbai. That was the first factory of Reliance. Okay. Next, what is the basic ingredients of PTFE?
Polyester.
Basic ingredient.
Polyester.
Huh?
Polyester. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing, sir.
Polyester is right. Polyester is a byproduct of PTFE. You use PTFE to make polyester cloth. So if you have PTFE factory and here there is a mill also, PTFE, what do you say? What do I say? Cloth mill also. Cloth mill also. Yeah, so this is and cloth mill. Yeah.
So some acids and
So
water.
PTFE. Friend, it is crude oil. So crude oil is the basic ingredient of PTFE. So the investments of the entire Reliance Group is into crude oil. And I'll also add not only crude oil, but you also require a refinery. Or I can even give you an arrow here. PTFE comes from refinery. And refinery needs crude oil. And the entire investments of Reliance is into crude oil. Right? Am I right? Last 15-20 years is entirely into crude oil. So this entire process from cloth, from cloth to crude oil is known as backward integration. That is, I'm going from the product or final product, if I can use, final product back to the, what do you say, raw materials. So my investments are, I think not this, I'll use this, let me use this. So my investments is this, from my final product, which is polyester cloth, my entire investment is going up to crude oil. So my final product, I invest in phases where I go up to my raw materials. So this entire chain is known as backward integration. समझ गए? So
Yes,
I
sir.
have a
Got it.
final product and I'm going back to my raw material. This is Reliance and polyester cloth. I take another example, IBM. So what does IBM do? If I remove IBM, if I remove polyester cloth, I will talk about IBM. What does IBM make? Computer services. So if I have computer services, what does the computer services do? It does consulting. So what do I do? By PwC. So what is one of the ingredients of consulting? The ingredients of consulting is customer call center. So I buy Daksh, because call center means India. So customer call center and so on and so forth. So what have I done? Why am I buying all these? I'm buying all these because my raw material is consulting and call center, and I am buying it. So if my final product is computer services, I buy a consulting company, I buy a call center. And I'm sure some others. I mean, I don't even follow that, but some others. So what am I doing? I'm doing backward integration towards my raw materials. Am I clear about what is backward integration?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's take a small break. It's now 12:20. We are here up to what time? 1:15?
No, sir. We were supposed to be here till 1 o'clock because 1:15 we are starting with the finance lecture.
I thought since we started at 11:15, there are two ways of looking at it: the government way and the private way. So in the private way, if you start at 11:15, you end at 1:15.
Okay.
If you are starting at 1:15 in a government company, then you end at 12:45 to make up that 15 minutes delay by going early by 15 minutes.
All right, sir. If you say we can start at 1:15, but then we'll
So which is the better one? Government way?
so we'll have to delay the finance lecture then.
Okay. So what we do is we give, hello?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yeah. So what we do is we give ourselves about 7 minutes and come back at 12:30. And friends, we will continue up to 1:15. Let us see how much we can do.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. The reason being,
Alright,
by the end of April, I've been told to finish off most of the assignments and most of the course also.
All right, sir. We'll go till 1:15.
sure, sir.
Okay. Okay. So we meet at 12:30. So by my clock, it is 12:23. So 7 minutes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Out of the box. And they might do things which you never expect them to do. Yeah. For example, most automobile industries now, you know what they are making? Because the car sales is zero, you know what they are making? Ventilators. So companies which are making ventilators like Tata Motors and Mahindra will continue to have the revenues coming in because the government needs, I know our health system is not the best in the world, unfortunately. For example, the entire number of ventilators in India is 40,000, out of which hardly 22,000 are working. In New York City, America, one city has got 40,000 ventilators, which means that the number of ventilators required in India is huge. And because of the coronavirus, the government has opened its coffers. Le jao, paisa leke jao, make this, paisa leke jao, ye bana. Which means at the end of this lockdown, I can tell you with a degree of certainty that the amount of free money from the government will be huge. So far, they have spent 1% of GDP, that is about 1,70,000 crores. It is expected that they will go to about 10% of GDP, which means 17 lakh crore rupees. Some economists say between 4 and 5%, but I am telling you it will be at least 10%. And if it is so, then 17 lakh crore rupees will be flowing in the country now. All you have to do is go and take it, right? Similarly, in US, they are actually giving 10% of GDP, and then somebody says, "Hey, that's not enough." So, just I think last night, Trump has signed another 10% of GDP,
Yes, sir.
which means
$1 billion itself.
it's about $4 trillion now. 2 trillion for everybody and 2 trillion for the businesses. He has just signed it. And
It's because
the
they know
worst,
that depression is coming.
correct. And not only that, it seems about 6 million people have lost their jobs. So in India, if you lose your
17
job, you
million.
lose everything. Huh?
17 million in the USA, and the expected job losses are 47 million by next month.
Okay. So 47 million. Now, in India, we don't have any data, unfortunately. So 47 million, if they lose jobs, is it a very bad thing? Is all the Americans will die of hunger? 47 million people? The answer is
Probably
no.
not, sir.
Probably not. I can tell you with a degree of confidence that they will not. Because then the government.
A lot of people, they live paycheck to paycheck, so that's why they don't have any capacity. They don't have to
Correct.
survive.
Okay, now you heard about Social Security.
Yes, sir.
About 90% of Americans, or more than 90% of Americans, have Social Security. And the rest are going to get checks. Those who have Social Security obviously have a bank account. So what Trump is doing is, for every bank account, he's putting in $1,200 per month, in addition to the Social Security money which they're getting. So Social Security money is about $2,200. I think now it's $2,500. In addition to that, another $1,200. Second is all your loans are taken care of. So all I'm trying to say is America will emerge well. I'm not saying very well, but it will emerge well. How will India emerge? That is the biggest point. Because my gut feel is I'm not sure if 30th April is the time when people will start going out, which I don't think will happen. Think. So the point I'm trying to make here is that every company has to have a competitor analysis systems, and that should be continuously updated. So just look at this.
So we can't see your screen.
Okay. Now I need your help. The help is that the icon for chat has disappeared. I can see I can't see anything actually, who's in and all that. That icon has disappeared. How do I get it back?
So just go in the top.
Okay.
Click on top or bottom, anywhere. It's just hidden because it's shared. So once you take,
sorry, it is because no, on the right hand side I can see Adnan as a participant, but I cannot see either the any of the icons.
Right. So just go to the top of the screen.
Okay.
Do you see something then?
No, nothing.
At the bottom?
Okay, let me go. Bottom, no.
All right, sir.
No.
Just turn that application on which I sent you the last time.
Which application?
Team Viewer.
Acha. Okay, Team Viewer. Okay. Or you just tell me there is a join meeting icon, and then I have got this icon. I can see you. Can't I click you?
No, sir. Okay, I understood what's wrong. Could you please go to your task?
Oh, got it. I got it. It wasn't a minimized view.
Yes, it was minimized.
I got it. Yeah, thank you. I got it.
Thank you, sir.
So, well, I'm here. Okay, I can get a chat. I can do everything. I think. Yeah, I can chat. Great. Okay. Oh, okay. Right. Now let's come down to the comparator analysis system. Now, after you have seen this, just a hint. You have seen two things: secondary data and primary data. Why do you think secondary data is so important? Primary data, yes, you have to go out in the field and find out what your competitor is doing. What do you think secondary data can give you? Yeah,
You haven't shared your screen, sir.
I haven't.
No, sir. See what you're trying to show.
Why isn't it coming? And uh, I'm the host now. Okay.
Right.
So what do I do? Invite? Invite? What?
You just go to share screen and just share your screen.
I know I'm not getting that icon. Mute, start video, record on this computer, manage participants. Here, I'm living and learning.
I'll do one thing, so I'll share the screen.
Okay, okay, will do. Shared screen, file. Everyone publicly save chat now. Okay, can you do that, Adnan?
Just give me a minute. I'm on it.
1 second, hang on. Can I rejoin again?
No, sir. I'm already shared screen. It'll just consume a lot of time.
No, because host is me.
No, sir. There you go, sir. You can see it now.
There you go. Okay, great. Oh, now I've got the icon, share screen, record, etc. That must be your icon?
No, sir. It's yours only, but now you might have got it. It's fine, sir. We can continue.
Okay. This will stop other screen sharing. Do you want to continue? Can I do that? Can I remove yours and bring mine?
Anything you want, sir.
Okay. Let me do that because sometimes I have to draw.
Okay.
And doing that, yeah, there you go. Okay, now I got it.
Yeah.
Right. So let's get on with my discussion. So the discussion here is basically talking about secondary research. What can secondary research achieve? Any inputs?
So secondary data.
Hello. Okay. Have you gone through research methodology in your second trimester?
Yes, sir. We.
Great. So you know what is the advantages and disadvantages of primary research and secondary research. You know that.
Yeah, to an extent we understand. When you collect primary data, you will have a better speed.
Okay, great. And why do you use secondary data then?
Sir, to get even more insights into the research.
Cost effective.
Okay, you use secondary data when it is not feasible to get primary data. For example, if you ask me what are the number of cars sold in Itanagar, now Itanagar is the capital of a state known as Arunachal Pradesh. Now, if you want primary data, you take a flight from Pune to Calcutta, take another flight from Calcutta, go to Guwahati, and from Guwahati take a helicopter, and it doesn't run every day. Take a helicopter, go to Itanagar. Now the helicopter ride is not so safe because 2 chief ministers have died. So anyway, that's a different issue. So you take a helicopter, go to Itanagar. And then you come out of the airport and then you go to the Maruti dealer, go to the Hyundai dealer and ask them, kitna bikta hai? Right? So this is one way of doing primary research. So the cost of the research from Pune to Calcutta 6,000, Calcutta to Guwahati about 4,000, 10,000 plus Guwahati to Itanagar, the helicopter takes about 7,000 or 6,000, so 16,000. And then you have food and stay at Itanagar for about say 7 days. That's about 1 lakh. So, and the return back. So effectively the research on how many cars are sold in Itanagar, you will get the final figures, correct figures, but the cost will be about 4 lakh rupees. Secondary data, you just go to Google and say number of cars sold in Itanagar and you get some figure. That cost is maybe about say, if you take nominal cost or notional cost, it will be about 5 paisa. So 4 lakhs versus 5 paisa. Now, so you say, why not use secondary data then for every research? Because the data is not reliable. When the data collection is feasible, reliable, and cost effective, you use primary data. When the data is not feasible or extremely costly, then you do secondary research. So analysis, obviously you need primary data. I'm not even discussing that. But secondary data is when you do not have the resources to go to different places and find out. For example, in Chhattisgarh, there is a town known as Bhilai. Yeah? The total population of Bhilai might be what, about 4 lakhs? But that small town has got 2 Maruti dealers. Now, I'm sure by now it has got a dealer for Hyundai and all those things. So the question is, in a city of 4 lakhs, why or how can it have, segmentation? It should have enough business. It should be feasible. So in a town like Bhilai with a population of 4 lakh, why do you have 4 or 5 dealers? It's because the main place or the main source of income is the steel plant. And the steel plant is among the largest in the country. And it has got its own economy. So the point I'm trying to make is secondary data will give you data when primary data is not feasible. So even when you're talking about computer analysis, sometimes you have to go by secondary data. So these are the sources of information. I want you to just go through this and nothing much. That's just the sources of secondary data. Okay, so I'm not going to discuss this much because these are self-explanatory. Now, this is something I want to discuss. if you are looking at primary data for your computer, you know the top one, is it visible well? Can you see? Because it is black in a blue background.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
great. And please don't blame me. These are the PPTs given by Lehman and Weiner. I have access to most of the authors' PPTs, and this is from the authors itself. So if the authors felt you have a dark blue and you write in black, I cannot do anything about it. I can't even change it. Okay. Now, coming back to the investment bankers. How can bankers be a source of data? Suppose if there is a company, yeah, you know, one of the things which many companies which have failed, one of the things which happens is, let's take Nirav Modi. You know, he has been charged with duping Punjab National Bank to the tune of 15,000 crores, $2 billion. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that this entire operations of what he used is a red flag not by the competitor, but by the investment banker. So bankers can be a very, very good source of the health of your competitor. So if you get to know from the bankers that your competitor is borrowing heavily and he is not exactly investing it in plant and machinery, you should be very, very beware of the company. So what it is doing is it is selling part of the company, maybe it's equity on stake. And what it will do with the money, we don't know. You know, there is an example, I don't know if you want to talk about it. No? You know, I used to work for a company in Chennai, and that company, I was the regional manager of Andhra Pradesh operations based out of Hyderabad. And the company's share price at